Welcome to the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast with TJ and Sonny.
Hello and welcome to the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast. My name is TJ McConaughey, and joining us today is not a special guest, but it feels like a special guest. It feels like a special guest because mi amigo, my best friend and co-host of this show, Sonny Saltalamacchia, is back. Sonny, what is real?
Well, TJ, it's good to be back. I appreciate you holding down the proverbial interweb fort while I was gone. You did a great job. You had some great guests, and it's good to be back, bro. It's good to be back.
Yeah, man, I'm actually super excited to have you back, even though I say super excited all the time. You let me know this, but I'm just going to tell you right now.
When you say super excited, it's so watered down. It's like it's irrelevant.
I know, but I actually am super excited right now to get this show started.
But I never know if you're truly super excited because you say it all the time.
No, I'm ecstatic. There's a new word.
Okay,
I'm
wow,
ecstatic.
that means something to me.
I'm ecstatic, Sonny.
That means something.
I even got a new haircut just for this whole thing.
Well, you got a new haircut because you were preaching last Sunday.
Well, you did. I didn't know if you knew that. So, all right. Well,
so you're already lying to me. 2 minutes in, you're already lying to me.
I know. We only lie to the people we love the most. Anyway, well, this is gonna be good, right? Like, what have you been up to, Sonny? What's going on in your life right now?
Lots of things, man. Just moved our whole program.
That's right.
We were in a coffee shop for about 3 years, and they're looking to have to relocate their facility, and so that requires either they're going to tear down the building or move the building, and so either way we got to move. So we was pretty stressful there for a few months, and we found a new location. It's actually going to work out, I think, a lot better. It's kind of one of those things, where you worry and you worry and you worry, and then in the end it kind of turns out better than maybe it was originally. And so after a lot of prayer and just kind of stress, we started the move-in process today. It's into a newer building, smack dab downtown in Salem, right across from the riverfront, and it's with a good organization that'll open up a lot of doors for us, and right next to a giant park in the water, so that'll open up a lot of opportunities there. So it's good. So it's bittersweet, kind of saying goodbye to a place that I've grown to love and grown to love the people there, and just the location and moving into a new location. So,
and this new location, is it still connected with Ike Box in Salem or no?
No, it's a different organization altogether.
Oh, different organization altogether. And so really quick, just you had some pretty. I mean, it wasn't just a basement or a little area that you were at. I mean, you guys turned it into a really awesome thing, right? So that must have been tough, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty drab, dusty. Well, I mean, just the whole story is kind of cool. We were at the Boys and Girls Club for a while, running our program, and it didn't work out there. Our kids were too gangster for them, and so
that's a good way
we
to
had
put
to
it.
relocate. But I found out via email as I was in the driveway picking up a kid one day, and we basically had 2 weeks to get out, and I was like, oh crap. And so I didn't know what to do, and so I just kind of drove around and prayed and went to the Ike Box and talked to the owner. His name is Mark, and he's a good guy. He's a believer. And, and then he let us take this dusty, dirty basement room. And so we had a guy come in and tag it up, and slowly just started kind of building it. And then it's just sad, because you there are buildings that are hollow, but you just think about all the stuff that's happened inside of the buildings and how many kids walk through the doors and how many kids walk through the door broken, and then through the work they did in their life and through the impact you had in their life, or really it's just the work they did, turned it around and stuff. And so and a lot of like kids will stop by because it's like their home and stuff, and so now they're moving, are those kids going to stop by anymore, and just all those thoughts. So,
yeah. Did you have that moment where you just take a look at it, on the way out, and it's empty, right? It's just at that point it's all the stuff.
Monday's big moving day, and then Monday will kind of be the last group I ever run out of there and stuff. So
okay, so you haven't moved out of it yet, but you're going to.
Yeah, so today I spent all day setting up the studio in the new office. I mean, it's going to be a lot nicer and a lot better too. So today I spent the time setting up the studio and then putting up studio film and all that. And then Monday will be the last official group I run out of there. But by the time I run it on Monday, it'll be empty. And so that'll be. I'll definitely have that moment of like, See you later, old friend. Single tear.
Paul, let me do it. That's an old Yeller
Just
thing.
turn around and shoot it.
Well, that's good, man. Well, it's awesome. I mean, it's just the memories. I think every youth worker can relate to that of an era that is over, and it's just a place. But unfortunately, places and things, they hold a lot of significance just in the way we remember things. And so, saying goodbye to a place is a hard thing to do. So, yeah. That's tough, but well done, Sonny. And we know they're going to be rocking it in downtown Salem now. So, but anyway, I'm done with all this chit-chat. Actually, I'm not done with all this chit-chat. What are we going to be talking about on the show today, Sonny?
We are going to be talking about the question of the week, a riveting question from the annals of TJ's mind.
Did you say the annals?
Then we're going to talk about the annals, ANNALS. Then we're going to talk about Tales from the Fringe. And then lastly, TJ's new favorite topic, pick it or flick it. And I have a couple questions that hopefully are going to get TJ a little frustrated. And I'm excited about those.
All right. My heart's already beating for that. I mean, I have anxiety issues and control issues, so I don't really like this. I don't really like what you're going to be trying to throw at me. So if I come off a little feisty and emotional during the show, it's because I know what's coming. And but I'm done. I am now done with all this chit-chat. How about we just get to the show?
To the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook and Instagram. And when you subscribe to this podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating. We desperately need your approval.
And so tonight I have a question for you, Sonny. And Sonny doesn't, if you guys have just joined us recently, Sonny doesn't like me to brief him on the question of the week before because he really likes the improvised question answering skills.
First thought, wrong thought.
Yeah. He likes to have that thing, and he doesn't want to overthink it. Where I'm just complete opposite. I love to overthink it. So I am super excited to ask Sonny, where's the creepiest place you've been for work? Where is the creepiest place you've been for work?
Easy. A morgue.
Whoa. What were you doing at the morgue?
Okay. I'm moving out of the morgue. So the coffee shop that I was currently in, so the place that we were operating our youth program out of was called the Ike Box. And it was a 3-story building in Salem. And it used to be a morgue. Like, that was the old purpose of the building, was a morgue. And then, they shut it down, and then they opened it up a coffee shop and breathed life into it. And it was kind of a youth social enterprise. And then they ran a program out of it. And the coffee shop on the main floor, they had meeting space upstairs. And then downstairs in the basement is where we had our giant youth room and our music studio. So for the past 3 years, I've been operating our program out of a morgue. Like, the morgue to the extent that if you walk down the hallway in the basement, which is a very creepy hallway, and you take one of the doors on the left, they had 2 body drawers that, like, they used to put the cold cadavers into the rooms, clean them up and stuff. And so when we first moved there, and hopefully no one's listening to it.
I can only imagine where this is going, knowing you.
Oh, we would pay kids to lay in there. I'd pay them $1 a minute to see how long they could lay in the body.
Oh my!
And I had one kid, Sonny. Dude, he was going like on 30 minutes. I'm like, all right, bro, you got to get out. I'm gonna lose my money here. and then a couple doors down was the old crematorium room, which was now the where the heater was. And then like it would, like, when the heater would turn on, it was like a furnace or something like that, because you'd see like a little fire glowing in the heater and stuff. Dude, it was creepy. And on top of it, for whatever reason, there was red paint splattered on the door to get into the heater room, which was the old crematorium.
Whatever reason.
It just was, it just fit perfectly. So yeah, it was creepy, bro. Like we owned it, and we just, I would tell kids, hey, if you get here early, say hi to Ethel and Gertrude because they're floating around somewhere. So we just embraced it and owned it and had fun with it. But it'll be nice to like move out of there. Now we're on a second floor. We have windows, and it's gonna be great.
Well, that's super. I mean, first of all, that's cool because our little pregame chatter here was about you moving out of that, and then the question of the week actually worked with that. So that's awesome. So Sonny, first of all, let's talk about this. Churches that are empty in the middle of the night. I don't care how much Holy Spirit happens there. I don't care.
They're creepy.
They're so creepy, man. And
I agree.
And it's weird because there's times in a youth ministry where you're working late and you're the last person there. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you realize that you're the last and you're the only person this thing. And then you hear some noise at some part of the church, and you're thinking, "What the heck is that?" Right? What the heck is that? And so you kind of like you peek your head out your door and you like look around, and then you think like, should I say hello? Is this just somebody else coming to get there?
No, because you don't want anybody to know you're there.
Or do you just like
you want the element of surprise on your hand.
You want the element of surprise. Yeah, no church. I mean, here's the thing: is I work at a church, and I thought I'd get over this by now. But big,
your church is big too. I would not want to be there by myself.
Yeah, it's a big building, and so. It's just creepy at night. It's creepy at night. And at this church, we have janitors who come in really late. And so sometimes they do just kind of scare you. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, hi. Hey, Krista. How's it going? Just jump out of your skin.
Do you think
there.
all churches are like are all churches just scary at night?
I don't know. Maybe that's a question we got to put out there to the randos. Churches at night do you have a church at night that's not scary? Because churches, big empty buildings at night, scary. I don't care what it is.
And you could use that metaphor in a lot of ways. Like, well, it's because it's the people who make up the church, blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But you think of all places, the church would be like a safe place to be at night. You think.
Well, of course it is. It's all just in your head, but it's like, it's just I don't know what it is. There's something about old. And I guess the older the building is, the worse it is too. I mean, I've been in some pretty old buildings at night, and so that's never fun. So, and I don't know. There's just when they're big, sometimes the roofs make noise and all that stuff. I don't know. Yeah.
So is that yours? Is the church late at night?
Yeah, it does. It does make some noises and stuff. But anyway, yeah, no, that's mine. Well, I could say another one real quick. Maybe that's too generic. I've had to go on calls as a pastor for. People who call in and be like, my relative is demon possessed. And I've had to show up and pray in Jesus' name.
Are you an exorcist?
I wouldn't call it that, like an exorcism, but yeah, I mean, if you're in like a Catholic church, it's pretty much what we're doing, walking through people's houses and praying against, evil spirits that have kind of rocked it. I mean, there's... I don't know how much I can say because it's pretty recent, this one. So, but yeah, I've had to walk around in houses that I don't know, and it is weird, Sonny. I mean, it's as weird as it sounds. Like, I'm not the most like spirit conscious pastor. Like, there's guys out there who are way more like, let's pray. When things go wrong.
My specialty is cow tongue, ultimate frisbee. Yeah. I'm not the most spirit led kind of guy.
Well, I mean, I people who know me know that.
Video games.
I wish I was the guy who like, man, I sense this, but even with that being said, I get those calls and I've walked into places and I've sensed it. I've just like, there's some oppression going on here, and we know from the word that there's battle going on, and so there's been some really strange moments walking into unknown places and having to kind of pray.
No, man, bad juju is real, man. Like, I made a point before we moved into this new building. We got keys this morning, and I got there about 6 a.m. This morning, and I just walked around the whole entire building, just kind of praying, just inviting the Lord and His Spirit to be welcome in every room we do it.
Yeah.
Praying for the future kids that walk to the door and stuff, and it just kind of helps lighten the mood,
It does. And, there's just been other moments too. But, yeah, those are some creepy spots to walk into. I mean, the church one's kind of funny because, like, every youth pastor, youth worker knows that feeling. But, yeah, there's some real spiritual oppressions that happens. And so I'll
try being alone in a dark room in a basement and everybody leaves and you're doing your notes and all of a sudden you walk out and it's pitch black and you're like, oh, I have to go to my car now.
All of a sudden you hear a noise coming from the morgue area. the body thing, and you realize you've left someone in there. Oh no!
My kid never returned home from group. What happened to him?
Best
Crap!
sleep.
I owe him $50. All right, TJ. Tales from the Fringe. Tales from the fringes of life. I can go first or second, whatever you want to do.
Why don't you go first? Why don't you go first?
All right. So mine will explain kind of why I've been gone for the last few. How's it been? 3 weeks? 4 weeks now?
3 weeks.
So several weeks ago, I shared a picture of a kid. I think I shared it on the Instagram page. I'm not sure. I know I described it. Of the kid who looked like a gangster, was kind of hardcore, and he was holding the little picture that he drew at camp, and it was like a third grader drew the picture. Anyway, ironically, that kid ended up passing away, pretty out of the blue. They said it was a gun accident. The family saying it was a gun accident, so we're gonna honor that and go with that. But it was just kind of nuts. We were just sitting there one day and getting ready for music group on Thursday, and I started getting texts from kids saying, "Hey, did you hear about so-and-so? Did you hear about so-and-so?" I'm like, nah. And then enough kids started telling me that. I was like, oh, man, something's up. So I called his PO, and PO confirmed it. And then it was just like told, I mean, that's the worst. That's the worst of any youth worker to have to deal with is somebody who loses their life. And I've had a couple kids die, one while in program, one while out of program, and then another one, this one. He was with us for about 6 or 7 months and just did a lot of events with us. He did camp with us, did football games with us, did haunted houses with us, did Thanksgiving dinner with us. I mean, he spent a lot of time with us, and he was active until about March in our program. And so 2 months later to see him pass away was pretty intense. So the last few weeks, just in my own head dealing with it, and then at the same time having to kind of be there for all the kids. And but a lot of it's like cool things have happened from it. The first day we heard about it, we canceled group and just kind of opened it up for all the kids to come in and process and just getting stuff to eat with them and stuff and just being with them. And then the next day, 2 of the kids in the program were kind of beat up about it, and so they wrote a song about it. And when I reached out to his mom and I said, hey, we had some audio from him from camp. And I said, hey, would you mind if we use some audio of his in this song we're going to write for him? She goes, yeah, that'd be great. And so we did that and sent it to her, and she was super thankful and grateful. And then we put together a video for the song and then posted that up on YouTube, or asked the mom again, hey, can we use this video? We want to pay honor to your son. And she was more than thankful, and she posted it up on her Facebook before she even replied back to me. And then it started kind of making the rounds, and it got several thousand views, which is really cool. And a lot of his family members were commenting on it and stuff. And then as I was in the schools doing my thing in the schools, the groups and stuff, kids were commenting on it. They were like, "Hey, did you see that video?" Because we were bringing up what happened to the kid, and it was a really sad, but it was a good talking point. And it's all the kids. He was a really popular kid, so all the kids had talked about seeing the video and how it was a cool tribute. And I didn't say oh yeah, that was our video and stuff. I just kind of let it ride. But it was neat to see that something 2 of these kids used in a creative, healthy outlet to make the video and the song was having an impact in the community. So that was really neat. And then the week after, we went to his funeral. I took about, I think, 13 or 14 kids from Salem, because he was kind of out there in one of those little country towns. So I took a whole busload out there to the funeral, and it was crazy, man. There was probably, I'd say, 300 people there.
Wow.
And it packed out. Those little tiny funeral homes in those small towns. Totally packed out the funeral home. And this was they were a connected family, and so everybody's wearing blue.
Okay.
And it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny and cool at the same time. It was there was so many people there, all of them decked out in blue, and it was just this gangster family reunion, love for the kid. And I probably had 40 former clients there, and they're all walking up, "What up, Sonny? What up, Sonny?" Half of them are all cross-faded and stuff as they're talking to me. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty funny, considering the situation and stuff. It was still sad, but yeah. So then the interesting thing though is the talking points have come from it, and a lot of the groups have been, actually like 2 days before the accident happened, he posted on Facebook and he said, I don't think anybody would even care if I was still alive, which is super ironic, And then a lot of people are like, man, you don't even know. And so here we are at his funeral, and I'm kind of sitting back looking the situation, just going, did this guy really know that, over 300 people would be at his funeral? Like, yeah. did he live every day knowing or believing that this many people would be at his funeral? And then I started thinking, when was the last time these people actually talked to him? When was the last time these people actually said something to him and told him how much they cared about him or appreciated him? And we were processing those questions a lot in the weeks after his passing. And this one girl at a local high school here, she said, yeah, people only tell me how much they care about me when I'm really down or something goes wrong in my life. She goes, how come people just don't say that to you just normally? And I thought that was such a profound statement, and she's a little freshman girl. Such a profound statement, It's like how come people don't just say, hey, man, I appreciate you for this, just on a random Tuesday, why is it we wait until someone's like super down or going through whatever to say something like that, and obviously in light of a tragedy, it's easy to kind of think about those kind of things, but yeah, I don't know. It's just it's brought on a lot of good conversation and stuff. So that's why I've been gone. Sometimes doing the Fringe work prevents you from doing the Fringe podcast.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. Well, I want to thank you for sharing that. You didn't have to share that, Sonny. And we could have just came back and just glazed over the fact that you had work to do this last month, and so I appreciate you kind of sharing with the randos and the people who listen to the show. And this is the cost of doing work with students on the fringes of society, and this is the hard thing about it. This is the hard reality about it, and I kind of want to just bring out a couple things here. It is sad that people tend to only respond positively to a person when they're at an extreme negative. It's like, we got to get you back up to normal. So let's now pour into those people. And yeah. I don't know, man. I think this is one of the things that defines fringe kids, if I'm going to be honest. I think that there's so many students that I know who are great kids. You wouldn't call these aren't fringe kids, and at all. And they just have a lot of support. They have a lot of people who are coming in their life and saying, "Good job, way to go, awesome. Hey, I'm watching and I'm seeing that you're doing great things, and good job." That whole kind of pat on the back. Adults, and we have students and kids out there who have plenty of that. And then we have students and kids out there in our society who get none of that. And the only way they get some of that is by, is by sharing really, really hard things about themselves. And so it's a strange reality, a strange society that we live in, where there's kids who get, a plethora of it, and there's kids who get none of it. And I think that's one of the reasons that fringe kids are fighters. Is because they usually have to fight for things that they want. It's sometimes it's a charming part of their personality that they're fighters. That sometimes helps them in recovery and stuff. But sometimes it's a hard thing about them. And so I'm sorry for that, Sonny. That's a tough thing for a youth worker to have to kind of deal with. I love that you honored his memory with the program that you built, with the music that you guys have been doing, and I love that made its rounds and that stood as a tribute to him, and it helped other fringe kids sort of process this grief. That's amazing. It's amazing that you're having that much rippling effect in that thing, and I don't know. Did you post the picture of him on our Fringe Instagram page, or did that?
Oh, I think I took it down after the incident and stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So
I can post a link to the, or I can have you guys post it on the Facebook page, the video and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Let's get a video. I think that would be awesome. And I actually do appreciate you taking it down. I don't want to use any of that for this, but I do love that you're processing it here. So, Yeah, well, good job, Sonny. Well done, and I'm sorry for the loss, bro.
Yeah, man.
So my story, I don't want to go negative. So, but I don't want to go also negative. Then let's do something super funny here, you know. So now I'm in like a strange spot here. So I found a story. I think.
Go ahead and do your thing, man. I'm in a good spot. It's been several weeks now, and so
yeah. Well, I found a story I think that works for this, right?
Okay.
So gosh, it would probably been, I'm guessing like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was at my very first youth group, and we had just got it up and running. We had new students showing up every single week, but we were still in kind of a small space, and we kind of crammed like 30 or 40 people into a room that I'm sure the fire code in it was like 20 people. And so we had a packed house one night, and I'm up there and I'm doing my thing, and I'm teaching, and I really think that I'm doing a really good job teaching. And I you know,
this isn't a break from the norm then.
Yeah. And so I kind of feel like I'm killing it. And all of a sudden from the crowd, and usually, you know when you kill it because there's just quietness, you know, just obviously just quietness. But
They're
there's
thinking so hard about the point I just made right now.
Exactly. But anyway, right then, Sonny, in the middle of where there's quietness, I hear snoring. What seems to be snoring, like just straight blatant snoring, right? And so I'm like, wait, what the heck is this, right? And it's really messing with me, right? Like, and I'm looking around, and I can't see anybody's head down. Everyone's eyes are wide. I mean, it's not that big of a group. I mean, it's 30, 40 people, so you can kind of see everybody that's in the room. And I can't find it. But every time I do one of those, you know, dramatic pauses, there's this thing that kind of sounds like snoring there. And I can't just let it be, you know? That's just not me, right? I'm just kind of like a high anxiety dude sometimes. And so I'm like, so I finally just stop right there and I go, who the heck is asleep during my sermon tonight, right? And everyone like looks around and it's kind of like, and then there's this kind of group of people who look really, really like sort of offended / embarrassed for me, and I'm like, what's going on? What did I say? You know, who's asleep? And this brand new kid who'd never been to my youth group, he puts his hand up in the air and he says, "Hi. Yeah, my name is Micah, and I have a lung problem where I, you know, I mean, it's harder for him to breathe, you know."
Well done there, Pastor.
Gosh,
well done.
man. Gosh,
it's like
man.
Trump calling that guy a freaking whatever you
yeah
made fun of the guy.
It was one of my lowest moments. I think I just ended right there. I was like, okay, well, let's pray. You know, like there's nothing
Which
I can.
Which one of you is sleeping over this awesome point I'm making right here, huh? Who is it?
Yeah. Well, and here's why I share this, because that kid ended up being such an awesome kid. I mean, he is a miracle, like a miracle. He led worship. He played guitar like a stud. He sang like a stud. He actually belonged to another youth group in town. So ours was kind of the side chick youth group for him.
Okay.
But he actually got to meet like Switchfoot because he was such a good singer songwriter, and he, you know, had some health problems, so he got to like kind of hang out with them, and I think he actually got to play guitar for them one time on stage, and really, really cool things. And this is shout out to James O'Brien, his youth pastor actually, who listens to the show on a regular basis and always recommends us to other people. James just championed Micah and made it so that Micah got to do all sorts of awesome things. And unfortunately, Micah's his lung problem, and I don't know what it was, and but it ended up being, and he knew it. He wasn't gonna make like 30 years old, and so he died about 2 years ago. And I remember seeing that, and again, Micah was a kid who came to my youth group sort of as a side thing to his youth group, and so I saw him and got to hang out with him every once in a while. But he was just a miracle of a kid, and he inspired people with the short life that he had, and he knew that he was going to have a short life, and he made every piece of that life count, you know? And so I always think about that. And I think about that, like, I know he got to meet with Switchfoot and he got to play with them on stage and he got all that stuff. And I always think that, you know, that song that Switchfoot came out with about, you know, only having one life to live, that life is short, I got to live it well. I kind of wonder if they were thinking about Micah in the back of their heads, because he lived his life just like that. And it was really, really special. And I still feel bad to this day, but Micah handled that whole thing like a champ. And he even laughed about it with me and was very gracious. That could have been a very bad moment for me, but he was gracious in the moment. And so that helped out. And here's the thing is, and if you're a rando listening to, you know, the idea here is, you know, it is tough to lose students. It's one of the hardest things to do is see young life just gone before us. And so if you're out there, shout out to youth pastors who are walking with families through grief, even in this moment, or have in the last few years. It takes a lot of bandwidth to do that, and we're joining with you right now in this moment and saying, hey, thanks for doing what you guys do. A lot of it's unseen and as it should be, and we just appreciate you walking with families through grief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you said it right. It comes with the territory. If you do it long enough and you work with enough kids, it's gonna happen, and it's never easy, and it's never there's not like a formula to get through it. But the times where I've had to deal with it, there seems to be a tremendous amount of unity that comes from it, and an interesting thing happens too. It's like and this is a weird way to look at it and talk about it, and I think it affects teens more than any other time and frame of life, is that sometimes when a death happens, I think other teens, I don't know how to actually explain this. Other teens will like pretend they knew the kid better so they can feel it themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's like this like false presentation of how deep their friendship was for the kid, and it can sometimes piss off those who were really close to the kid, and they're like, dude, you didn't even know who the person was, you know? Well, I knew him back in second grade, and you never want to like ridicule a kid for having feelings or something like that, but to me it's just a reminder of how desperate kids are to feel, and how desperate kids are to have an identity, and how desperate kids are to belong to something, even as tragic as death. And so the whole thing has just been a reminder of community, relationships, family, inviting those kids in, all-inclusive, and yeah. And so props to anybody out there working with kids, because it's not easy sometimes.
We are still listening to the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast.
All right, now it's time for my new favorite thing, and Sonny, you got a glimpse of this right before you went on your hiatus. Our pick and flick. That was our first time doing it, and I've pick and flicked. This is gonna sound weird, but I've pick and flicked with multiple partners. And
have you been checked yet?
And I have to say, man, this. I miss your takes. I miss them. You know, I pick and flicked with some other people, and it brought me back to you. You know,
Justin
it brought me
Herman
back to you.
can pick, but Justin Herman can't flick like I do. I'm just going to say that.
Nobody can flick like you do, Sonny.
Nobody can flick like I do. Herman's a good picker. Don't get me wrong. Herman's a picker.
Yeah, he's a picker.
Flick.
He's not flicking all that weird. Anyway, so this is a pick or flick. It's just a topical thing. We're gonna throw a topic at each other, and you got to say why you pick it, why you flick it. It's really quick, and we try to avoid argument, right? Like you make
No. I listened to that what you said with Tim. You want arguments. Arguments are fun. If I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you why. And I think some friendly banter should be fine.
Okay, a little bit.
Why would you want to avoid arguments?
No, I don't want to avoid it. I think it's best when this is like hot fire. So if the argument can happen quick, then it should happen.
What are you, Dylon?
Because I spit hot fire.
Hot fire.
Anyway, so Sonny is going to argue. But you know that I figured as much, because if you can't flick like Sonny and not want to argue. So
no, I'm going to argue with you about not wanting to argue.
I know. I get it.
Why are you on your phone? Get off your phone. Why are you on your phone?
I'm on my phone because I'm looking at the topics. I'm looking at the
topics.
topics.
I bought an air horn from Target. You know what I do with it?
What?
It's my anti-cell phone device. Whenever a kid is in group and he's like on his phone, I just freaking blast it.
It's like such a Michael Scott moment. That's so Michael Scott, not even funny.
Or I'll go up behind him. Just go bam. They're just like, blah! And like their phone just flies up in the air. It's the freaking greatest thing ever. Because guess what? Guess how many phones I see out now? Freaking 0. I've been doing it for like the last 2 weeks. It's amazing. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're gonna do that.
Target has it for like $6. So these little tiny ones, you can put it in your pocket. You can surprise them.
Yeah, awesome. You're gonna do that to one of those gangster kids, and you're gonna end up taking a little longer hiatus from the show. So
it's okay. I'm 2 feet away from them. They can't hit me.
All right. I'll go first. Okay. So the first one that I have for you is this new genre that is emerging in music called country rap. Rap. Where are you at with this?
Pick it.
You're picking it.
Of course. Why not? It's creative. Okay. Okay. But outside of Old Town Road, is there really a genre of country rap? Like, you got to think. Well, you can't disagree with this. Hip hop has now infused itself in every aspect of music. Hip hop is the new pop. Mm-hmm. And so inevitably all styles of music are going to have traces of hip hop in them. And I mean, when's the last time country music was country music, right? Shania Twain ruined country music, right? And so country music hasn't been country for a long time. So country rap was inevitable. I'm waiting for country trap. Personally,
hey, maybe you should do some country trap, kind of be a trailblazer.
We try to do a little rendition of we try to do something like that already. But
all right, you're working on it here, you know. Hey, I'm picking it too here. There's no disagreement here. I grew up in 2 different places. One, Wyoming, Casper, Wyoming, and all we knew was George Strait and Garth Brooks, and so I have a big piece of my childhood where I loved country music. That was what I did. But then I moved to San Jose, California, right around the time when Biggie and Tupac were both going down.
I got 5 on it.
And yeah, I remember all of that. So I got into right after country, I got into rap, and I remember thinking in my childhood, like, that's such a huge jump. But now that they're kind of coming together in this new genre, I'm always like, maybe it wasn't that big of a jump. And I just think that there's a lot of people out there who probably have come out of the closet a little bit here, like, and like, I like country and I like rap. You know? Mostly white people.
And honestly, I mean, there's a ton of country songs that have hip hop beats in them now. You know, so
yeah, no, but you're right, and
really,
I think that's a point you've made earlier on the show when we were doing when you were doing your Grammy episodes, is that you talk about how hip hop goes into every genre. It literally, like, there's no like genre that has that, like, where it's like all of a sudden, hey, there's this pop song, but then there's this country breakdown. That doesn't happen. But there is pop song with a rap breakdown. There is now rock music with rap breakdowns. There's now country music with rap breakdowns.
Look at Justin Bieber's Baby with Ludacris. When Ludacris comes in, that part's amazing.
It is, and there's
that was
even
a straight pop song. You know?
I was even listening to Ed Sheeran, which is like more of a folk pop guy. He's got like a rap one now with Chance the Rapper, and it's good, you know. So you're right. Hip hop is finding its way into every place, and I kind of love that. I love that. So
are you over Old Town Road? Or are you still bumping it?
Oh, my son loves Old Town Road. My son loves
Old Town
Road.
Did you see that Lil Nas went into like a little elementary school and played it in front of a whole entire gym of kids?
And they probably all just
he's like
jumped in
he's hamming it up, dude.
Oh yeah, dude. No, dude, I'm kind of over it, but I still like it. I still like it. All right, what's yours?
Juice only diets. Pick it or flick it.
Picking it. I'm picking it.
Juice only diets. Go ahead.
You know me. I've recently lost just next to 100 pounds, 97 pounds. I still haven't gotten over that 100-pound mark, but a big portion of my diet, not all of it, but a big portion of it. And the thing that jump-started me there was a pretty much a 40-day juice diet. And
40-day, it was like longer than that. It was months.
No, well, so
you told me I ate food in months.
Well, this thing is, it kind of evolved, but it was 40 days of juice only, and then I started doing soup, and then I started doing soup, and then smoothies. The juice thing is where you just literally are just drinking juice, right? Like, and so I did 40 days of just juice, but then I was like juice and soup,
no working
juice
out,
and smoothies,
no exercise, just juice.
No, I was working out. I was doing runs all the time. So my whole thing was doing lots and lots of runs. But I don't know. I watched that documentary, Fat, Sick, and Almost Dead, and I'm just one of those personalities, man. My personality is one of those like all or nothing personalities, and I needed a kickstart. You know, like the idea of spending the next 2 years losing 100 pounds was like a tedious thing and I knew I needed to do it, but I like
Kickstart.
What Kickstart is what?
Kickstart right here. Kickstart.
I know you have a Kickstart. What does that have to do with anything?
Well, you said you needed a Kickstart.
Okay, so you guys who aren't watching the video element of this thing is you just had a loss there. But anyway, no, I'm picking it. I like it. It's not for everything. It's not for everybody thing. But if you're an all or nothing personality, it'll kickstart you into a good place. And Sonny, you did one of these with me a few years ago. So where are you at with it?
I did not do a juice-only diet. We did a Whole30 thing or whatever like that. I'm flicking it.
We did the Whole30.
I don't think it's healthy. Yeah. I don't think it's not healthy. Like, it's one thing to do a juice fast for a few days, but to have that be your primary diet over time, I don't know. It just doesn't seem healthy to me. But, you lost a bunch of weight, so, But now, to me, what I've been learning is just sustainability and changing the lifestyle and all that stupid mumbo jumbo, but it's true.
It's true.
It's
it is true. Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been seeing results and stuff. So I was giving you crap because of the juice only thing.
No, you're right. I mean,
I'm glad to see you're eating food now.
And one of the things that I did happen on that juice only diet, so I will give you to this point, is you lose a lot more muscle than you would normally on the other one. And so I definitely, and I noticed it this year in softball. Like my swing just, and the power that
Couldn't
I had.
get it out of the infield?
No, I got it out of the infield. I almost hit a home run the other day. But no, dude, yeah, it's just there's some muscle that you will lose along the way. But for me, I just needed that kickstart. So again,
you had to do something.
I had to do something. It worked for me. Maybe it wasn't the most healthy thing, but I don't know. I'm sure also being almost 400 pounds isn't the most healthy thing. So,
but now you're only single BMI, so it's just obese.
Yeah, I'm just obese.
Just obese.
Back to our first episode, just obese.
Back to the first episode. Okay, next.
Oh yeah, next. All right, Sonny, I want to know where you are on
I'm in Oregon.
Ron Swanson.
Ron Swanson is one of the greatest characters of all time.
So you're picking it.
Oh, 100%. Ron Swanson is I run into Ron Swansons on a regular basis because I work a lot with a lot of county people and a lot of state people, and there are a freaking million Ron Swanson. That character is so on point, it's not even funny.
What about him is on point? What about his is on point?
The clock in at 8, leave at 5, do as little as possible. Straight up, dude. Because sometimes in county work, you don't got to do a whole lot extra.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right. But like I think his cynicism is funny. But then I love his alter ego, Duke Silver. Because it's like, he presents as this macho man, but then in the evenings he's Duke Silver, swooning the ladies with the saxophone. Mm-hmm. And I just love his alter ego persona. So.
All right, for people who are lost here a little bit, Ron Swanson is and if you don't know who Ron Swanson is, you are lost a little bit. He's a Parks and Rec.
First of all, stop listening to our show if you don't listen to Ron.
No, we don't have enough people to be able to say that at this point. Keep listening, just don't listen to this part. He's a Parks and Rec character. Now, what I think is interesting about him, I'm also picking him, but he was originally cast to be opposite of Leslie Knope, right? Leslie Knope was supposed to be this gung-ho government, try to get things done, try to do as much as I can to get because I'm purpose-driven and all those things, and he was supposed to be sort of the villain to that whole show. And if you kind of watch the first couple episodes, you could see that that's where they're trying to take him to, right? They're trying to get him into that sort of villainous mode. The problem is too many people related with the Ron Swanson of the, hey, I don't want to do that much work. I don't really like government. this is but I work for the government kind of thing. And so his I don't know, that demeanor just resonated too much. And so they had to like, they had to just lean into it. Like they couldn't make him evil. So he became almost a father figure to Leslie Knope as the show went on, which is the right move. The showrunners made the absolute right move in that way. But yeah, I'm picking it too. I love it. There's so many good Ron Swanson moments, right? Like when he's at that Whole Foods grocery store and they give him some meatless bacon, right? Some vegetarian bacon, and he hands it as a sample, and he takes one, and he throws it right in the grass, and he throws it right in the trash, and he says, "May I have another?" And he grabs that and throws it in the trash. He's trying to rid the world, you know? And so I'm picking Ron Swanson on this too, and I'm totally on it. All right.
Parks and Rec is kind of like The Office is the Warriors.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec is kind of like the Blazers.
Okay.
Like, it's good. It doesn't hold it can maybe at points get up there with The Office, but it's a good show, man. Parks and Rec is fun. We watched it all the way through.
Yeah, no.
I've never watched it again. I've never rewatched it though.
I think both Parks and Rec and The Office have the same problem, is that they end kind of clunky. Like it feels weird. Like by the time the show's over.
Office was 3 seasons too long.
Yeah, The Office is 3 seasons, and I don't know what happened with Parks and Rec. Maybe they wanted to go longer, but they didn't. But it feels like that the end was just like abrupt. It's like all of a sudden we're 5 years later, and now we have a completely different story.
Yeah, and Aziz Ansari's character in the Parks and Rec, that guy's hilarious. Dude.
Oh yeah,
what's
super
his,
funny.
I forget his name in there.
Oh gosh. I don't know. I can't remember his name.
But then he come with some of his friends, dude, are freaking hilarious, man.
Yeah, no, dude. And both of those shows, The Office and Parks and Rec, both shot as mockumentaries, which is genius. I don't know why they don't still do
Parks
that.
and Rec copied The Office, though.
Yeah, but the other great thing about it is it's all character development. It's ridiculous character development. People you end up loving by the end of the show. So I love that. All right, Sonny, what's your last one?
The church is a business.
Sonny! Oh man! All
Pick it or flick it.
All right, we're gonna put this in the extras.
The church is a business.
Okay,
it's
so
not as complicated of an answer as you think.
No, so the church is a business. I'm gonna pick that. So big C, the church, is not a business. Little C, the local church, is a business. In that it has to deal with business aspects. Every church that I've worked for, because there's money that comes in and money that goes out, and people that work for the church and different utilities and keeping the lights on, all that stuff. It takes business aspects, and so in a very loose definition
AKA
of like
money.
In a very loose definition, there's money coming in and money going out. So therefore, it has a business aspect to it. I think that could be a very grave problem for a lot of churches, and I think it also could be a really incredible tool if done right. Money, to me, I'm where Dave Ramsey is on this. That money is a neutral thing. It is
okay. The Dave Ramsey who sells millions of books and all that kind of stuff, telling people how to control their money. That Dave Ramsey.
I like Dave Ramsey, but let's not jump on. We'll make that a pick or flick for some other time.
That's next week's.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I like the idea that money is a neutral thing. It's a tool, and that tool can be used. I mean, humans are the sinners, and so we end up using them for bad things. And Sonny, me and you have seen where this goes wrong, and where it gets really, really unfortunate and verges on not just inappropriate but evil to some degree. And so I hate a lot of the money aspects of some church stuff. I understand it, but there's parts of it, like being able to really help out in the world takes some money. So I'm going to pick that the church is a business and has business aspects to it. However, that needs to be in check to what the church's ultimate mission is, which is the gospel.
Yeah, but I don't think the ultimate mission changes the fact that it is a business. And I think a lot of people try to kid themselves and say, no, it's not a business because we serve the Lord and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But then it becomes the whole pissing contest of who serves the Lord better and who serves the Lord in the better purpose of things. And then you got John's Baptist Church and Steve's Baptist Church, and they're right across the street from each other. And then
yeah, you get the First Baptist Church and the Second Baptist Church. Yeah,
dude, it's nuts. It's like that old joke of this guy told me. He goes, "This guy's shipwrecked, and the people come to save him." And
hey, say this right. Say this one right. Like actually set this up. I want the.
So there's a guy on a deserted island.
Yeah.
And the Coast Guard finally comes and rescues him after so many years of being there. And there's 3 buildings. And the guy goes, "Hey, what's that first building?" He goes, "That's my house." "Wow, that's pretty cool. You built a house." "What's the second building?" "Well, that's my church. That's where I go worship." "What's that third building?" "That's my old church. We had to leave."
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I've been in a weird spot lately with church. I love the church that we go to now, and my wife goes, and she's plugged in. And this could just be because I'm a counselor, and after so many years of counseling, you start to hate people because you just deal with them all day long. But I'm just struggling with church and what we're, and maybe it's not even like my faith is being tested. It's just my faith in the church, so to say, because I see so much depravity on a daily basis, and I see the church just doing the same thing it's always done, and yet everybody I talk to, church is never, ever in their realm of an idea of how to get support and help. And to me, that just says something. Like, is the church not marketing itself properly? Is the church not doing what it needs to be done? What is it, And maybe, in a weird way, and this just kind of popped in my head, the reason you feel creepy in a church late at night is because it's not filled. Like, couldn't we solve homelessness by opening up church doors, these mega churches, and having people sleep? I know there's codes and all that kind of stuff, but you can get things done if you wanted to, So
yeah,
I don't know. So I definitely think it's a business, and I'm just wish other people would.
I'm gonna
open it up.
Yeah, I definitely see that, and I'm gonna break my own rule and just kind of say a couple things here. I see a lot of. Like, again, I've seen it in a bad situation. I've seen it in a good situation. And I know that the church for me, and I can speak for me, was a place where I found community and I found family and I found people who were gracious and were able to help me along in my life and be the family that wasn't broken in my life. And as coming from the outside in, I had a lot of brokenness, and I had a lot of church people look at me and saying, "Nope." But I did have a lot of church, but I had more church people look at me and say, "Come on, we'll bring you along." And I think that's where me and you, Sonny, have found ministry and life together, is in this place of, I think one of our sweetest spots was when you started bringing some of your clients to youth group, and watching our kids from the youth group accept and make these kids not just members, but almost like the leaders,
they knew they could buy weed from them.
But they made them like the mascots, And I was just watching a video,
which in a way is kind of bad. Like, it's the token fringe kid. Let's make it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that wasn't the reason they were doing that. They weren't doing that because they were doing that because these kids were hilarious and fun, and they were kids, And
they had nicknames like McChickens.
Yeah, McChicken was a great nickname. But anyway, with all that said, I think that, yes, money does tend to make things really complicated, and humans tend to make things even more complicated when there's money.
So what do you think the answer is for the church?
Well, I think the best version of the church historically is a persecuted church. I think that everybody who looks at the church's history,
on a practical level, what does that look like? What is the church doing on? What can the church improve on? And I'm asking you because you work in the church. At a practical level, how can the church have a greater impact on the lives that are just in chaos?
Well, for me, it's being completely outreach oriented, making sure that your students are accepting and moving people who don't know Christ, and sometimes those are fringe kids, sometimes those are just people who just don't know, into relationship and into the church body where hopefully that they find Jesus. And I think there's a lot of churches that just don't emphasize reaching out, and because of that they become fortresses, and it's more like, let's keep the bad out and the good in, And unfortunately, when you keep the good in, it tends to rot from within, and it tends to get pretty nasty. And so I think that one of the things that always helps the church is this fresh body of people who don't believe, who are coming into relationship with God. And as they are coming into relationship with God, that tends to purify all the motives, and it tends to put the church people on mission. One of my favorite stories here to maybe combat your story is a story, I think it was about Chuck Smith, who was the founder of Calvary Chapel down in California. And his church was becoming a mega church. And it was mostly because Chuck was such a phenomenal teacher. And they were down in Southern California, and all of these basically street surfer kids were getting saved, right? And there was a lot of old people kind of in this church still, and it was a really nice building. And I don't know, Chuck was preaching one of those days, and he saw one of the hippies come in from off the street and come in all the way to the front and sit down on the carpet in front, not sit on the pews, but sit on the carpet. And he was dirty, and he was just there, right? And maybe he was there for pure motives, like he wanted to hear what was being said. Maybe he was there for impure motives, like I want to make a statement here. And there was a lot of commotion in the pews that day. Let's say that, And so Chuck was watching it, and he saw one of the older members of the church, one of the old guys, maybe he was like 60, 70, 80 years old, get up and walk down to the gentleman who was sitting on the ground, and instead of, grab him by his dreadlocks, he just sat next to him for the remainder of the service. And he said that story, and it really happened, but that really became the DNA of what they were doing down in California. And I think, maybe that's not a good enough answer for you, but I think that story is a answer. And maybe just an illustration of what the church should be at its best, is that it doesn't matter what suit or what age or what demographic or what economic level you're at. We should be able to sit side by side and learn together. So. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to our show. I want to thank Sonny for being back, and we just want you guys to have more conversations with us. So go ahead and head on over to the Facebook page. If any part of this podcast got to you, please just let us know where you're at with these things. We love the faithful randos who every week post on there about what they like, what they disagree with, and challenge and call other randos out. Thank you guys. I want to just say this really quick. Thank you, randos. There was a poll recently in one of the forums, in the DYM forums, and this was an unofficial thing. It wasn't like an official thing, but somebody posted, which ones are you listening to, and put a poll on there. And originally, our podcast wasn't even listed as one of the ones that was there, but you guys put it on there, and then we ended up taking number 2 and number 6 because somebody put us on there twice. So we ended up taking number 2 and number 6 on the on this unofficial poll on the DYM. That stuff is huge. I saw a huge spike in the number of listens our podcast got after that poll. So that means a lot to us, guys. And that's you randos out there.
And the cool part is you're not supposed to advertise on those things.
Yep.
So somebody else advertised it, and then that was cool.
Yep.
So that's good.
We didn't have to do anything besides sit back and just feel loved. And so thank you guys for that. If any opportunity you get to tell people about our podcast who need to hear it, we would love that. And we're just hoping that this finds some youth worker out there who feels alone. And maybe after listening to this podcast, you don't feel so alone in this fringe youth work that we get to do. This is the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Fringe Youth Worker Podcast. Don't believe anything my dad said.